In today's video, I'm going to talk about how to develop some of your psychic senses, and we're going to talk about clairvoyance specifically today. But I'm going to make a video about each of the main psychic senses, so you can check those out. There will be an entire playlist related to psychic senses you can find on my channel if you want to dive a little bit deeper into each of the senses. But like I said, today we're going to start with my personal favorite psychic sense, although I'm sure I'm not supposed to have a favorite, but it's because it is my most used. It's definitely my strongest personally, and I think it's one of the better known, which is clairvoyance, also called psychic seeing. So clairvoyance is often the psychic sense shown in movies and TV shows because there's a little bit more drama around it, but it has a lot of different ways that it shows up. And I like to talk about this because everybody has intuition. Everybody has different intuitive senses that are a bit stronger for them. And as I explain these, I want you to start to understand how it shows up for you in different ways that it might show up for you so that you can lean into where it's already showing up and start to pay attention to the messages that are probably already coming in for you that you're not necessarily recognizing. And that is the main thing I tell people to focus on at the beginning. Just start to pay attention to how is your intuition speaking to you? Start to recognize it. The more that you recognize it, you can then start to actually work with it. So when it comes to clairvoyance or psychic seeing, that way that it's often shown in movies is somebody is seeing a ghost outside of them, for example. What clairvoyance actually is, it can look like you are seeing something outside of you, and the thing that you're seeing outside of you can look a lot of different ways. It could look like an actual person or an actual object. It can look more like a hologram. It could look more like a ball of energy or some light. It could look like just moving energy or even a disruption or distortion in the field around you. It can look like all kinds of things, but it really is just that you are seeing something. So we're seeing something beyond our 3D senses. We're seeing something that other people might not be picking up on with their 3D senses. That, however, is not the most common way that clairvoyance shows up. The more common way that clairvoyance shows up is in your mind's eye. And I think this is something that a lot of people can connect with. So this could be you are in a meditation, and as you're meditating, you see the visual of a flower or of a fitness studio or of a person, or you even see a word. Whatever you're seeing in your mind's eye is a form of clairvoyance. That's your psychic seeing. And that is a spiritual message from your soul, from your spirit guides, from the universe, from source, depending on who or what you're tapping into or what you resonate with. That's a message for you. So you want to start to pay attention to what's showing up in your mind's eye. Now, for me, from a really young age, I was clairvoyantly seeing outside of me and in my mind's eye, but I recognized it a lot more outside of me. I would see people that other people couldn't see. I could see energy fields that other people couldn't see. I could see inside people's bodies, which other people couldn't see. And that was very obvious to me. But the way it was coming up pretty much constantly that took me a while to recognize was while people were talking, I would see images in my mind's eye, and I would get layers of information about the conversation or about the person, but usually more the conversation, just layers of more information for me to know through the visuals I was seeing in my mind's eye. Now, I point this out because we want to start to pay attention to what our thoughts are and what the downloads are. And for a really long time in my life, I did not recognize that those images in my mind's eye were psychic messages. I thought that was just part of how I thought, and that I was thinking thoughts in pictures, which I can sometimes, but I actually don't usually. And once I started to realize that those were extra layers of information, then I started paying attention to them more. And then I started to realize, wow, these are my psychic abilities already online. And I'm constantly getting visuals as I talk, as people talk, that are extra data that I'm not thinking about, that I don't previously know, that's adding information and layers to this conversation. And I point that out because I know that that's true for a lot of people. So when you start to slow down and pay attention to what's going on in your mind's eye when you're engaging in a conversation or doing other things, start to question that. Is that a thought, or was that a message? Is that giving me information that I didn't already know? Or is that image coming up because I could trace where the thought started and why I was thinking about it and where it was leading? And that's really the difference with a psychic message. Your intuitive messages are just going to pop in, and they're going to seem kind of random. So they're not connected necessarily to a previous thought you just had, versus a thought is a bit more linear. So a thought will be triggered by something. Somebody is saying something, and then logically you think, oh, well, that's related to this, or that reminds me of XYZ. Or maybe you're driving on the road and you see something related to somebody, so you think about them. Now that's a thought, but the other part of that is I will extend out the clairvoyance into signs and synchronicities around you. So it's not necessarily clairvoyance, but I like to include it in this conversation when you are bumping into a synchronicity around you. So maybe you are thinking about something and then you're driving and you see a big sign that says, call John, 1-800-888. I have an accident, right? And you're like, whoa, I need to call John. Maybe not that John, but the John that you know in your life, right? So that's a sign that bumps into you, and that is also a spiritual message. So pay attention to the things that are coming up in your reality, and I can make a separate video on signs and synchronicities. If you want that, just let me know below. You can leave a comment. But anything that you are seeing in your mind's eye or outside of you, I'm going to include in the topic of clairvoyance. Now, another way that this shows up is going to be if you are in meditation and if you can visualize in that meditation, that's a sign that you have that skill of being able to see in your mind's eye. Now, the difference is in a guided meditation, you might be guided to walk along a beach or walk down a beautiful forest path. And so you are responding to that visual, right? But then maybe you get to a place in the center of the forest and an animal appears. And that's the prompt. And then you, in your mind's eye, you suddenly see a deer. That is the psychic message. That wasn't something that that person told you to see. That was delivered to you. So you just psychically saw the deer. I feel like this is a really easy way to engage in practicing your clairvoyance, is to pay attention to your mind's eye when you are doing any type of guided meditation, because you can start to pay attention to the things that are popping in without somebody else telling you to visualize it or without you thinking about it. Those are the psychic or intuitive messages. Now, the other way that clairvoyance can come up will be through dreams. So a lot of people will get many messages through dreams. For many people who are extremely intuitive, that can be the main way that they get their spiritual messages. I know intuitives where the place that they get all of their downloads is in their dream space, and they have a very specific practice and setup to work with their dreams. Doing dream work is its own whole area of mastery and expertise, and that is a huge topic that many people specialize in. But what I will just say to understand the clairvoyance is, if you have really vivid dreams, that can also be a sign that you have some of this going on. So I know from a young age, I have had a very active dream space. I have a lot of very vivid dreams every single night. I always have. And for a long time, I thought there was just something wrong with me. And then I figured out, wow, I get a lot of messages here. So that is another place that you can experience your clairvoyance, when you are seeing things. So anything that includes the seeing in your mind's eye or externally is going to be clairvoyance. So my recommendation with your clairvoyance and with all of your psychic senses is, if you feel like you have some of this skill, start practicing with it. So start putting yourself in positions like a guided meditation, for example, where you are opening up space in your mind's eye, or if you're somebody where it's more external, you're opening up the space and asking a question that's an open question, and then allowing something to drop in. So I'll often have people just close their eyes, and then I'll give them some prompts. So we can do it right now. Why don't you just close your eyes for a second and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And bring your awareness to your mind's eye. And just clean the slate there. Put up a white canvas. And let's ask your soul to please show you a flower. And then let's clear the slate. And let's ask your soul to please show you a color. And let's clear the slate. And let's ask your soul to show you a number. And let's clear the slate. And let's ask your soul to show you a place. And let's clear the slate. You can just take another breath in and out. And open your eyes whenever you're ready. So that's a really simple practice that you can do with yourself, just asking open-ended questions where there isn't a right or a wrong answer to it. The reason why that's important is you want to develop the skill of just looking there and seeing it and allowing yourself to receive without worrying about the discernment piece yet. So without worrying about if it's right or wrong, that can be another layer later. You just want to develop that muscle. All of the psychic senses are just like muscles. The more you use them, the stronger they get and the easier they get. And you'll start to notice it really just is about recognizing where it is and then paying more attention there, because it's not that you don't already have these and you need to grow them. It's that they're playing, but the volume's so low, or they're so subtle, or just not paying attention, or just not seeing it. Once you see it, you'll recognize it, and then you can learn, I'm going to keep looking there, and then I'm going to get more data. So if you feel like clairvoyance is one of your gifts, if you have a little bit of this, then leave a comment below and let me know how it shows up most strongly for you. I do have a couple of resources if you want to go deeper into developing your clairvoyance. One that is super easy to do is in my app. It's the Christina the Channel app in our Next Level You program. And there is a guided energy work in there that is all about awakening your spiritual gifts. So you'll find that in the main meditation section. It's about 30 minutes and it opens up your spiritual abilities. So you can go down there and it's literally energy work that's going to open up your psychic senses, and it's really going to turn on the one or the ones that want to be activated the most for you right now. So it's a meditation you can use again and again. It's embedded in energy work. So if you want to try that out, you can get a 7-day free trial by going to christinathechannel.com/membership, and you can sign up right there and get 7 days free to check out all of the guided energy work, our meditation programs, our meditations, to do energy work at home and to open up your channel. The other resource that's a bit more intensive would be my Ahai energy healing training. So this is my signature program where I train people in how to work with Ahai energy, which is the energy that I downloaded, and I train other people in. You can use it just on yourself, or you can move further into the program and eventually learn how to send to other people if you do want to be able to send it to others. But nothing opens up your spiritual gifts more than doing energy work on yourself. And I always teach psychic abilities going hand in hand with energy work. So the whole first portion of that program, you are getting that foundation in how to open up your spiritual gifts and abilities so that you can then use it alongside the energy work. And also, the more you do Ahai, the more your spiritual gifts open. And that is something that so many of my students have said, where they were struggling to really open up or hit the next level with their intuitive abilities, and going through that program, it just blasted it open. So if you want to check that out, we run that program a couple of times a year. It's a really powerful 12-week program that will truly change your life. You can just go to the link in the description below if you want to learn more about my Ahai energy healing training. That is going to wrap up our little mini lesson on clairvoyance. And if you want to learn more about the other psychic senses, be sure to check out my playlist on opening up your psychic senses. And I'll see you in the next video.